Good morning, YouTube. This is Jasmine from Whisper Creek Garden. I wanted to give you a quick update of our spring garden. It's been a while, but we're back at it, and just want to give you guys a quick view of what we had growing already. So this is kind of like my herb area over here. And so that's some chocolate mint that's came back. And I know people are like, don't put your mint in the ground because it'll take over. It's true, but chocolate mint hasn't been as hard for me to maintain in like one confined area. So we have like some chives going right here, planted a few tomatoes back there. Those are indeterminate cherry tomatoes. So we got some poles for them to kind of trail us up on as the season goes along. A massive oregano, which I am going to cut this back a lot in a little bit because I wanted to try to do a lot of drying of my herbs in early spring where they have the best flavor. Another chive plant and some lemon balm, some parsley that actually overwintered here in North Carolina. And then I have a sage plant right back here, and it is actually blossoming from some of the places where I didn't hack it back. At the end of the or at the early spring time this year. So keep moving right along. We have a small Russian pomegranate over here. It took a little bit of frost damage, but as you can see, it's starting to come back out now. So we're hoping that this guy puts on a lot of growth this year. This is year number 2 for it. And then we have blueberry bush. It's pretty young too. This is year 2 for this blueberry. We have some blueberries on here, as you can see. Apple tree right here. And this apple tree is a Red Delicious. Something that we picked up from one of the big box stores when it was on clearance. This is year 2 for the apple tree as well. Another variety of a southern high bush blueberry. And it has a few blueberries on it too. This one has a lot smaller foliage than the other variety that we have planted. We have 2 of those guys in. This one actually produced quite a bit for us last year, and it has a lot of blueberries on it right now as well. And so that's another blueberry. Right here we have a fall gold raspberry plant. We had 2 of these in here last year, but we didn't do a good job of watering and maintaining it, so one of them died. So we have been staying on top of keeping this one watered and fertilized and mulched and stuff, and it has some blossoms coming on it right now. And those are 2 random strawberry plants that we kind of stuck there. Right here is our Golden Delicious apple tree. It had a few blossoms on it, but I don't think any of those will sit on it this year. So, which is fine because it's only year 2 for it, and it really doesn't, it needs to kind of focus on root development more so than bearing fruit right now. We have this bed which looks empty, but we planted corn here, and this morning I just saw where we had some corn sprouts starting to pop up. So we will have to cover this bed because we do have birds and squirrels and stuff that'll come and dig our corn up once it sprouts. Right here we have some tomato plants. These are some paste tomatoes in the back right here. And this is our trellis system that we're using for the tomatoes. And we tried to do the Florida weave last year and it didn't work out as well. So we went back to our trusted method. And the rest of this probably looks like weeds on camera, but it is actually onions that we started from seed. We have 3 varieties in here. We have a Texas early variety. Let me think. A red variety, and I think it's a white Creole in here as well. So we'll see how that does. I haven't had success growing onions yet, but hopefully this year, with it being from seed and me actually doing short day onions, that they work out well. The back there, those are some cowpeas that volunteered in another area in the garden, and we transplanted them all onto this trellis right here. In the spot right over there, we put some Market More cucumbers there for them to trellis along the other side. This is our potato bed. This is the main potato bed that we bought to plant for, but we ended up with so many seed potatoes that we pretty much planted in a lot of different areas. And I also have some more chives right here. I have those kind of plopped in different places throughout the garden. Here is a lettuce bed and carrots. Another chive plant back there. I am going to be pulling those chive blossoms soon to make some chive blossom vinegar. Here's even more potatoes. And this bed and the other bed that I just showed, they got planted on the same day. And as you can see, it's already starting to put blossoms on the potato plant. So not much longer and we'll be harvesting those. Let me go over, quick walk around. And here we have a cattle panel trellis and like a little green bed right under there. We have pickling cucumbers planted, direct seeded on both sides of this trellis. It's the Chicago pickling cucumber. And then right here I direct sowed the spinach, and it's the same. It got sowed on the same day that I transplanted the other spinach out, and this one's doing a lot better. So I think I'll just from now on be direct sowing my spinach instead of transplanting. This is Swiss chard. Some of it I started from seed, and then a couple plants didn't make it, so I did pick up some plants from our local nursery to just fill in the gaps there. This is the blue dazzling kale in this row right here. Then we have some curly kale, and the rest are collard plants. So they've been out here since late winter, and they've been doing well. Even with some of the frost that we've had, when they were really small, they still kind of kept on kicking. So right over here we have a bed that's planted with broccoli. All of this front row is broccoli, and those plants back here, these larger plants, these three are collard greens, Georgia collards that overwintered for us, and we actually just harvested off of these quite a bit for Easter, to make collard greens for Easter Sunday. And this one is actually going to seed, and I am going to let it go to seed so we can collect some seed off of it. The seed packet that I had for these collard greens is going on 3 years old now, so it's time for some fresh seed. Back here we have our McIntosh apple tree, and this was planted last year as well, and it's put on a lot of new growth. So now we're just having to try to like shape it, get it shaped and pulled in the directions that we want the branches to go for that one. Right here is a peach tree that I got on Mother's Day last year, and this is year 2 for it, and we actually got one peach set on there, so I'm protecting this little peach from any kind of damage that it could possibly get. Right here we just covering this stuff with cardboard this morning, and we're gonna just mulch it with some of the mulch from like our undeveloped part of our backyard, where we have like pine straw and leaves and stuff all over the ground. We're just gonna mulch over this with that stuff to kind of keep the weeds down, since we're not planting in this area right now. The rest of this area is gonna get planted out with a lot of beans, bush beans, and I do have some Christmas lima beans that'll go on this trellis as well. Right over here, these wine barrels that we got for $20 from Walmart, we have strawberry plants. We transplanted these from one area that we had them in for 2 years, where we had a lot of slug pressure, so we weren't getting hardly any harvest off of them because of the bug damage. So we transplanted them in those barrels, and they have been doing great. And this was transplanted in late winter as well. Right over here we have some sprouting broccoli that I just threw seeds in here and let it go, and we were just gonna see how we did. And we also have some bunching onions in here. This is a weed. And then I don't know if you can see right down here, that's a volunteer jigsaw pepper plant that we had, because we had those in these pots last year. So we're gonna let that come up as well. Same thing in this one, just some direct seeded spring onions or bunching onions and some sprouting broccoli. We have a few weeds in here, but this is another cluster of a different kind of pepper plant that we had in there before. And this is where we put all of those additional seed potatoes that we couldn't fit in our garden beds, but we didn't want to like not use them. So we put them in grow bags. And these were 2 weeks, I think about 2 weeks behind the ones that are in the garden beds. Lastly, our little greenhouse. We have some tomatoes, some more tomatoes that I started from seed. They weren't looking too good. This is my first time using soil blocks. So, but once we got them out in the greenhouse, they started doing a lot better. These are some eggplants that we started, Black Beauties. We have a few pepper plants over here that need to probably get up potted soon. Then we have our sweet potato slips that we started inside, and they were going a little bit crazy inside, so we finally got warm enough for us to put them out here in the greenhouse. And then we have our variegated Eureka lemon tree right here, which suffered a lot of leaf damage over the winter. It had like red mites on it, so we got those kind of taken care of. And then I gave it a bunch of blood meal, so we have some new growth coming on there now, so we should get a lot more foliage. And we've been popping off most of the flower buds just to try to get it to focus more on leaf development versus trying to produce lemons, because it was like putting on 40 or 50 lemons at one time and not having any leaves on it. So we were popping those off. We let a few stay on, but even those, if it starts to look like it's not keeping up, we'll just pop those off as well. So, and then to our little side bed. Here is a overwintered blue dazzling kale that we let go to seed, because I don't have enough early spring flowers planted for pollinators. So sometimes I just kind of let stuff go to seed just to have something here for the bees to attract them to our yard. There we have a little bit of the like bok choy planted, just 3 of those plants, and some celeries there too. And then here is my husband's pride and joy, this Awori Satsuma orange tree. That's a little more cold hardy than a normal orange. So in zone 8, we're like borderline zone 8A, zone 8B. We're able to plant this in the ground with some protection in the spring, in this winter time. And then this is our rosemary bush that also needs to get a good little trim on it, so that I can dry some of those herbs as well. But that will wrap up our garden tour for this month. We'll try to get back every couple of weeks or so when we have some new things going on in the garden, and just give you guys an update. But thank you for watching.